cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. It's black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white. Oh. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. It's black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white.
Hello everybody and welcome along to Simulation Racing Leagues TCR League Round 1 here at Donington Park, and we are here, like I said, for Round 1, so it is the season opener, so all the drivers going into it blind. Lots to look forward to, and as expected, lots of cars have been testing throughout the run-up to the season. Thankfully enough, I've been invited along to take part in a couple and watch along, and wow, we are in for one hell of a season. Lots of close racing throughout by the looks of it. We don't currently have any cars out on circuit at the moment by the looks of it, but we will keep an eye out. We are currently in the qualifying stages of the race, and it's not letting me find anybody, so I'm not sure whether we will actually be able to pick up any race images for you as of yet, so we will leave it on the race information so you know exactly what is going on. We'll get the music turned down. Actually, we'll get the music turned off. No, we'll leave it on. As soon as we've got no cars out on circuit, we will leave the music on to run through. But yeah, like I said, this is a brand new season, a brand new series on my channel. A massive thank you to Dan Mould for approaching me and letting me get on board with it. Looking at it, it's going to be a busy old season. We've got cars putting in times, but sadly, I know why. So this is all on me. Normally we would be able to watch qualifying, but as I accidentally joined the session as a driver, we can't spectate any of the other drivers. So I am sorry about that. We will get that sorted for round 2 in a few weeks' time. But I can rattle you through the current times we've got. Louis Correa has just posted a purple time, gone straight to provisional pole position with a 1 minute 39.14, a very competitive time for Louis early on in the session. And then we've got lots and lots of close times. Look at that, P2, P3 and P4 all separated by 300ths of a second. Rob Sutherland with a 1 minute 39.22, Craig Walters with a 1 minute 39.25, exactly the same lap time as Kalle Cavisto. Oh, Dan Mould, there you go. Dan Mould straight up to provisional pole position with a 1 minute 38.5. I know yesterday he managed to get into the 38.4, so a 38.5 today on a cool track is a really good job. Callum Reed for CRG Motorsport has put it in provisional P2 with a 1 minute 38.58, and then we get back down to Louis Correa, demoted from pole position to P3. Who did we get down to? Brumclass. There we go. So Brumclass down in provisional P7 at the moment with a 1 minute 39.26. Scott Tuffy with a 1 minute 39.45 puts him in provisional 8th position, very closely followed by Carl Lucan with a 1 minute 39.45, and Andrew Lovesey with a 1 minute 39.55 rounds out the top 10 so far. Still lots of time to put in there. It's 3 laps or 10 minutes, whichever one comes first. And yeah, I'm just going to echo my sentiments from earlier. I'm sorry that we can't view qualifying. Normally we would be able to. We will be able to next time. Just I made the rookie error and click join as a driver and not join as a spectator. So sadly we can't watch any of the qualifying, but we are almost halfway through qualifying already. So only 5 minutes left to go, or 4 minutes now, pardon me, until we get into the race, which is what we've all rocked up to see. Chris Young with a great time there, 1 minute 38.56 has put him in provisional P2. Who else did we just have? I think we had Dennis Rust just jump in with a 1 minute 39.94, which has put him in provisional P16. We've got more cars. Look at that, Callum Reed, an even quicker lap time, an incredibly quick lap time. I think Dan Mould and Callum both set very quick lap times back to back, but Callum Reed getting the better of it almost in the 1 minute 37 to 1 minute 38.034. Very quick lap time from Callum to put him on provisional pole position. Dan Mould, he set a very quick lap time as well, but sadly it wasn't good enough for provisional pole position as of yet, a 1 minute 38.29. I think the drivers will have one more attempt at getting in a competitive lap time. A couple of drivers haven't taken to the track as of yet. Jason Guara, Jermaine Warren, Neil Stevenson, Al Brown, Radoslav Zaharev, and Niels Manshandon. I don't think, well, I say that, I think we just had a couple of guys put in times. There we go, they're all coming in now. Got Ben Hicks posting times, Andrew Lovesey, Craig Walters, Kalle Cavisto posted another time, Derek Crowther. We also had Rob Sutherland demote Dan Mould from P2 to P3 with a great time from Dan, only 100th of a second quicker, a 1 minute 38.284. But a good time nonetheless. But Callum still on provisional pole position. Chris Young just crossed the line then. Improved his time, but sadly didn't improve his position. He stays in P4 with a 1 minute 38.41. But yeah, Callum Reed for CRG Motorsport, a brilliant first qualifying session. I say that, Dan Mould crossed the line now. The first driver, oh, well, even more switching around. Bram Class promotes himself up into provisional P5 with a 1 minute 38.63. Dan Mould was very, very briefly on provisional pole position with a 1 minute 37.99. And Callum Reed has gone even quicker. So he has posted a 1 minute 37.79, and I think that's the quickest I've seen any of the drivers go throughout the weeks running up to the event. So clearly the extra attention has made the drivers go even quicker. But Callum Reid, the number 4, on provisional pole position by some margin as well, 2.2 tenths of a second, so a very quick time. And then we go back another 3 tenths to Rob Sutherland. So the top 3 separated by half a second, the top 7 separated by a full second, and then it starts to get quite congested, because if we look at P14, 15 and 16 provisionally, of course, they're separated by 300s. We'll go back another position. They're separated by 400ths of a second. Who did we have post the time? And then I didn't quite catch that. But only 1 minute left to go when we will eventually see some cars, ladies and gentlemen. I am very sorry that we can't watch qualifying. That's completely on my end. Rookie error, joining as a driver and not a spectator. Chris Young once again improving his time, but sadly not his position. He posted a 1 minute 38.414 on the lap prior. He's just crossed the line now to post a 1 minute 38.372. So little improvements here and there, but sadly not enough to promote him into the top 3 as of yet. And I think that will be his last attempt, just in time as well, because only 30 seconds remain until we will end up with some grid results for you. I'm hoping that the grid plays ball, because I know when I was trying it out before the stream, it decided it wasn't quite happy to rattle through it correctly, but I think we have got rid of those issues. Only 5 seconds remaining now, so we will get some times through very shortly. I'm hoping the session ticks over straight away. We go past the 10-minute mark now. Checkered flag is out. So Callum Reid on pole position. We will get some more confirmed results now. There we go. So if we can go to TV1, there we go. So we will get some qualifying results up for you now. So there you go. Callum Reid on pole position from Dan Mould in P2. Let me get the game volume turned up, as it is very, very quiet. We want to hear these Audis. There we go. So yeah, Callum Reid on pole position with a 1 minute 37.762. Dan Mould in P2, Rob Sutherland P3, and Chris Young lines up in 4th position. Brum class in 5th, Andrew Lovesley starts 6th, Craig Walters in 7th, and Carl Lukeman in 8th position. Harry Bowen and Ben Hicks round out the top 10. Going back another way, we've got Pete Brian, Louis Correa, and let's see whether it works. There we go. Bradley Hulls, P13, Kalle Cavisto, 14th, Niall Stevenson, in 15th, Scott Tuffy, 16th, Derek Crowther, 17th, Niles Manshandon in 18th, Rob Jackson in 19th, Dennis Rust in 20th, Anthony Myatt in 21st, Jason Guara in 22nd, Matt Tempest in 23rd, Chris Allen in 24th, only a few more rows to go. And then we go to Jermaine Warren, Steve Jones, Radoslav Zakharev, David Smith, and Al Brown rounds out the grid. So 29 cars out on circuit today, and not long left until we will get to go racing for the first time this season. And Callum Reid will start it off on pole position. So a great start for Callum. Dan Mould starting in P2. He has got the outside line, which sometimes is the preferred line going into turn 1 here at Donington Park. You can use all of pit exit and maybe carry the speed all the way around. It looks like everybody's lined up on the grid. We're just waiting for the session to advance towards the race. We've got a car blinking in the background. I think that might just be somebody waiting to get in. Can't see any cars missing. There we go. The last car has joined the grid now. And I think we will have to wait just a few more moments. There we go. We are gridding now, so the 2 minutes is up. And the first round of the Simulation Racing Leagues TCR series here at Donington Park is underway. A great start from Callum Reid. Wheel spin everywhere. Everybody's jumping to the inside of the track. But look at the start from Callum Reid. Dan Mould in P2 having to defend from Chris Young going into turn 1. I think he might just be able to get it. But look at this. Chris Young all the way around the outside. If he can make this work, it will do him loads of good. But he touches the grass and understeers off. I don't think we've had any calamities further back. Nose to tail going down the Craner curves. And I think that is quite a clean start from everybody. Everybody's continued on without any incident. We'll go back up to the front though, but Callum Reid leading the way still from Dan Mould, who managed to defend from Chris Young, who has now got Brum Class hot on his heels, who's now defending from Rob Sutherland up towards the Coppice section of the circuit, round the right-hander, then onto the run-up towards the blight right-hander of Coppice. the Three Spears racing car, the only red car on the grid. You definitely can't miss it. Currently in 5th. We haven't had any issues. So we heard that Chris Allen went off the road. Dennis Rust has returned to the pit lane. Not 100% sure what happened there. There is Chris Allen. So let's see what happened here. We'll go back to see what happened to Chris. Oh, it flicks one way, flicks the other. Has a little rumble through the grass and continues on, and there's sparks going over the curbs from someone a little further back, so I'm not sure who that is, but back up to the front now, Chris Young looking around the outside at the GP hairpin, trying to get P2 off Dan Mould, but continuing on. Kalle Kavisto's dropping down the order as well. He's got a car on his inside, a car on his outside, and nice and easy around the hairpin, boys. 3 wide, almost 4 wide in the background. Continuing on now, I'm not sure why Dennis Rust will have returned to the pit lane, or it said he did. He might have just disconnected for a little while. So Dennis Rust, it says he's gone off the road. He's trying to give everybody room, and I think he just gave everybody a little too much. Chris Young has gone off the road as well, so let's see what happened here. At the next of the hairpins, the final corner. Does he just clip the grass and force him wide? Yep. In these front-wheel drive TCR cars, you touch the grass, you'll spin up the front wheels and just end up ploughing into the grass. But continuing on now, Callum Reid under pressure from Dan Mould now. These two have started to build up a knife buffer. Bram Klaas has got in front of Chris Young. I say that, but he's had to drop back. I think he might have got a slowdown there for running wide at the old hairpin. But Bram Klaas back down into P4. Chris Young still in P3. But this lead still isn't settled now. We've got 40 minutes of racing still to go. We're only 2.5 minutes into the race, and we've seen lots of action already. We've got cars side by side in the background. I think Scott Tuffy's looking to the inside here of Bradley Hulse. Gets shown the cold shoulder, and Bradley carries the momentum all the way around the outside and saves his position for the moment. But then going up into towards the chicane, one of the heaviest braking zones on the circuit. Let's see what he can do. Bradley trying to defend the inside. Scott looking to the inside. Bradley was defending the outside, pardon me, but sadly cuts across the grass and has to not just give away one position. I think he might lose out to Niels Manshanden here, and the privateer up into P12 now. Louis Correa's also got by as well, so Bradley Hulse, after defending one position, has almost lost 3 at this point. If Louis can stay on the inside, he might be able to get the upper hand on the brakes. Cutting across the front there is Bradley Hulse, but the fast cars go bang. Car of Louis Correa continuing on in P40 now, looking to pick up that position that he so desperately wants off Bradley Hulse. Now Stephenson dropping down. Oh, that's Pete Bryan swooping all the way around the outside, cutting across the front of him at turn 1. So Pete Bryan promoted up into 9th position. Callum Reid still leading the way now. He started to shake off the attentions of Dan Mould. 6.5 tenths between the pair of them now. Chris Young is trying to chase them down. 1.5 seconds up the road is Dan Mould. He's got to worry about Rob Sutherland though. The number 12 machine under pressure from Bram Klaas as well, who's being followed by Craig Walters with what is quite a funny photo. I asked everybody to send me in photos, or driver photos that they would like to see in the stream, and Craig Walters decided that that was the one for him. I think we've got another couple out on circuit with some photos. I think Chris Allen is one of them. He is indeed. He's right the way down in P24 at the moment, so the Powertoff car has got all the work to do to catch back up towards the front runners. We will go back up towards the front though, not quite there. Look at this, almost 3 wide into the hairpin once again. One of the best spots for overtaking on the circuit by the looks of it. But Pete Bryan in the middle, looking to cut across and give the defensive line, but oh, I think there was contact in the background there between Carl Lukeman and Niels Stevenson. So the Simtech racing car on the inside still keeping 9th position overall. But this trio have got to be very careful, because there is Scott Tuffy looking to pick up positions as well. Going in towards turn 1, Scott is still a little too far back, but I think we're almost side by side up the road. I think I heard contact there as well from somebody. That could have been Kalle Kavisto. When did he go off the road? Going into turn 1. Let's see what happened here. Was there contact here? Nope, just gets run wide. And I think somebody runs wide behind him. That's the Powertoff car that followed him through. Who would that be for Powertoff? That would be Chris Allen that followed Kalle Kavisto off the road. We'll go back live with him. He's continued on without too much strife, but still leading the way is Callum. He's lost about 1/10 of a second now. Back to Dan Mould. Eric Jones in chat saying, hurry up, Chris. Well, I'm sure he's trying. He's started to build that gap very nicely. 1.5 seconds back to Rob Sutherland now. So Chris Young hot on the heels of Dan Mould, 3/10 between the pair of them, and this will be what Callum is looking for. He'll be looking in his rearview mirror, seeing that Dan Mould is under pressure from Chris Young, and that is only going to slow the pairing down, meaning Callum can disappear into the distance. But at this point in the race, you've got to remember tyres will, well, they might last, but the fronts will be very, very toasty come the end of the race. But Danwell just about defending P2. The closest cars we've got on circuit is right the way down the order. This is Jermaine Warren looking up the inside of Chris Allen, recovering from that off-track excursion at turn 1. Nearly gets caught out there at the hairpin, but continues on in P24. But Jermaine Warren, he is hot on the heels, so the middle of the pack racing car, number 20, the only American on the circuit, looking to promote himself up into P24. He gets a great run out of the final hairpin, but I think Chris Allen with the inside line and cutting across his nose might just keep the position, but Jermaine's looking to the inside. Now see whether he can get the move done late on the brakes and decides brake nice and early. It's a long race and there's no need to take the risk just as yet. We've got I think we've had a coming together. That's Scott Tuffy off the road with some heavy damage on the front of his Audi. Let's see what happened there. Scott Tuffy went off track. Here we go. I think he might have been involved. Oh, that's Neil Stevenson, I think. Oh, we get a big hit from one of the Simtech cars. That is the number 16. That will be, yeah, that was Neil Stevenson. That collected the side of Scott Tuffy. I think that was Peter Bryan off the road as well. Let's have another look back. It was indeed. So the red car went off road. And oh, that was the word we're not really allowed to say. That was some sort of connection issue there for Pete. He got collected with a bit of netcode. Continues on though. No major calamities for him. But very unlucky to see that so early on in the race and so early on in the season. We had a massive incident in the background. That's Scott Tuffy, Louis Correa and Harry Bowen all involved. So Scott, he's had a rotten lap so far, then gets spun around by the number 17 of Louis Correa, and then the teammate of Louis Correa. Oh no, he gets spun around by Harry Bowen, pardon me. And then Louis Correa left with nowhere to go, apart from into the back of his teammate. We'll go back with Louis and we'll go on the nose camera just to see what happened. So he's got nowhere to go, straight into the back of him, and once again we get a nice look inside one of these Audi RS3 LMS cars. Back live with them now. And I think what we will do is we've got to find a battle which is nice and close, pretty much the one we're looking at, and we've got to look back from it because it's my favourite camera angle. We should get all the overrun going into the old hairpin. Have a listen just to see what these cars sound like when they're changing down through the gears. All the overrun there, the pops and bangs, one of the greatest things about these cars on iRacing. Oh, bouncing off the rev limiter is Matt Tempest. He really doesn't want to do that when Louis Correa is right on his coattails. He's looking pretty much everywhere he can. He's using much more curb. It looks like Louis Correa is desperate to make amends for that previous incident. But the Venezuelan still not quite able to pick up the position, back up to the lead. Look at this gap. I said it was going to happen. Callum Reid 1.4 seconds ahead of Dan Mould, and that's because Dan has been looking in his mirrors and unintentionally slowing himself down, preoccupied with Chris Young. Closest cars we've got on circuit, Carl Lukeman at the moment. This is all for position here. So it's Peter Bryan in P8 overall, leading this train. Then we've got Carl Lukeman P9, Bradley Hulse P10, and Niels Van Schanden in P11. And I think, yes, Neil Stevenson is in on the mix as well. So a 5-car train all battling for P8 overall. It looks like though Carl Lukeman might just be able to squeeze up the inside here at Crater Curves for P8, going down towards the old hairpin. He's already got the move done before he has to worry about taking the inside line. A massive moment for the Simtech racing machine of Bradley Hull. So I'm not quite sure whether that's the desired line, but sideways into the old hairpin can always work. Niels Van Schanden, the Dutch driver, one of the privateers we've got out on show this evening in P12, looking to pick up all these positions. All it takes is one small mistake from the front runners to bunch everybody up, and if you time it right, you can get up the inside. Look at that in front. Bradley Hull's looking to the inside of Pete Brian, but I think he might have compromised his line a little bit there and lost a bit of time. This is the closest battle we've got out on circuit at the moment. So Pete Brian looking to get round Carl Lukeman, who is making good his escape at this point. He got up the inside and he's doing everything he can. Lights ablaze, trying to disappear into the distance. But 10 minutes of the race gone. Look at that. Pete Brian looking to the inside, seeing whether he can pick up the position, maybe get the run out of the hairpin, but nothing comes of that. And it looks like he might have cost himself more than he's gained him here. Bradley Hull's diving to the inside, late on the brakes, sideways into the final corner and picks up another position. But Pete Brian is now under attack from Niels Manshanden going up towards turn 1. So it's all going backwards for Pete at this point. He lost one position and he's lost another one, and he's under threat of losing another to the 104 machine. We've had an incident further back. I think Rob Sutherland has had a bit of a gravelly moment. Let's see what happens. So Rob Sutherland, you're looking at the red car sideways down the crane of curves. Does he get it slowed down before the old hairpin? He decides, yep, there's no point trying to risk it. Just take the safe way around. And Craig, well, it's not Craig Walters, that's Bram Class, giving him all the room in the world, making sure he's got plenty of room to rejoin. We'll go back live with this battle. Look at them now, back nose to tail. Clearly no slowdowns for Rob. So the number 12 car continuing on, trying to get back into P4 where he was just a few moments ago. He looks to the inside, going up towards the hairpin, late on the brakes. Can he get the move done? He shows his nose, but Bram Class gives him all the room in the world. And I think this is going to very quickly become a 4-car battle for P4. So Bram Class leading, then Rob Sutherland. And look at this, Craig Walters getting in on the mix, seeing whether he can pick up the position. He looks for the cutback on the run up to the final corner, but it will be the outside, dives to the inside, seeing whether he can get the move done late on the brakes, decides to tuck back in. Andrew Lovesey also looking to get past this battle as well. He will be picking up all the aerodynamic benefits from the 3 cars in front of him as well. Go Dan, yes indeed. Dan is all the way up in P2, but I daren't say it will be for too long because he's been hounded by Chris Young. So Chris promoted himself from P4 to P3 very early on. He looks to the inside there at the old hairpin. Nearly gets the move done. I think a bit of rubbing. But rubbing is racing and all that, and in these TCR cars you can very much get away with it. We've had Bram Class off the road. Let's see what's going on here. I think that was just at the exit of the old hairpin. Rob Sutherland looking to the inside. It'll very quickly become the outside. Bram Class later on the brakes and still secures his position, but I think Rob Sutherland nearly lost the position to Craig Walters there. He left the door open. Craig dived for it and it got slammed in his face, but Andrew Lovesey has got the best seats in the house because he's watching this all unfold in front of him, looking to see whether he can pick up any positions. Bram Class now under threat once again from Rob Sutherland. He's going to try the move he tried a few laps ago, late on the brakes into the chicane, side by side properly this time. Bram Class, he might get a slowdown from that, at the least an incident point. I don't really know what to make of this because Craig Walters is now diving his way up through the order, and I think oh, that's Bram Class off the road. A very weird incident for him. We'll have a look back at that in a moment. But Craig Walters has promoted himself up into P4. Andrew Lovesey, for the moment, was in 5th position, now down into 6th. Bram Class, that's Rob Sutherland, pardon me, looking to get back into 4th position. This is all unfolding in front of us, but sadly, Bram Class lost out there. Let's see what happened. We'll have a look back. Here we go. I think this is the one we're looking for. Yep, so going into the hairpin, late on the brakes. I don't know whether it was just the case. Yeah, he just couldn't slow it down in time. And then he touched the grass. And these cars are a pain to get off the grass. Does he collect the wall? Just misses the wall, but continues on, having lost all those positions. Andrew Lovesey still hot on the heels of Rob Sutherland. We've had a change here. This is Chris Young looking around the outside of Dan Mould for P2 overall. But the number 47 machine, he's going to have to try harder than that to get past Dan. Onto the back straight. It looks like Chris might have the better run of the two. But going into the chicane, I don't think Chris is going to have a look. He throws the car to the inside, late on the brakes. It looks like he might get the move done here. Going into the chicane, textbook move from Chris. I didn't exactly see. I didn't really see the move going to. I didn't really think the move was going to unfold like that. But look at that, Chris. He's got by and built a gap already. Half a second between the pair of them. Dan naturally closes up on the brakes. Does he get the better run? I think he does out of the hairpin, but washes out towards the outside of the circuit. Does he have a look to the inside going into the final corner? I don't think he will, but at this point in the race, we're almost at the halfway point already. Wow, this has gone incredibly quick, but Dan Mould losing out there. Still in a podium position, but he knows that he's got potential to be up there. But our leader, Callum Reid, look at that gap now. 5.5 seconds. So the CRG Motorsport driver just disappearing into the distance. His fastest lap overall at this point isn't the fastest lap in the race. What we can do for you is if we bring up best time, there we go. So Callum Reid with a 1 minute 37.583. Well, that is an incredibly quick and competitive time. Dan Mould, who we just saw get demoted from P3 or from P2 into P3, has set the purple time so far this race, a 1 minute 37.541. So only just quicker, 0.04 of a second quicker, but that is all you need. And we've got to remember that you do get 2 bonus points for the fastest lap. So Dan, albeit lost the position, he will be able to pick up 2 consolation points. Still battling away in the background. The closest cars we've got on circuit at the moment is Rob Sutherland trying to get back past Craig Walters. He lost the position, I think, on the lap prior, maybe the lap before that, but he's looking to get back up into P4. Craig Walters cuts across the nose just to let him know that he isn't going to find the position there. And you might have heard me just mention the points, so we do have the points rundown. For first position, you will get 25 points. Second position, 20th. Third, you will get 16. Fourth, you'll get 14 points. If you finish 5th, you'll get 11th. 6th, you'll get 10. And then from there backwards, so 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th is all 10 to 1 point, plus the 2 points you get for fastest lap. And look at this now, Andrew Lovesley diving up the inside, argy-bargy, seeing whether he can get the move done. Let's have a look back to see what started that. He looks to the inside and he's getting almost barged over to the inside of the circuit. Late on the brakes, he dives to the inside. I'm not sure whether that move was necessarily worth going for, but he didn't make it stick either. So a possible bit of damage for the pair of them, and for very little gain, because now look what's happened. Craig Walters slowly started to build that gap and disappear into the distance. Now 1.5 seconds back to Rob Sutherland. Al Brown is now hot on the heels of Rob Jackson, trying to get back past. Well, that's commentator's curse for you. Rob Jackson hits the grass, runs wide, gets a handful of understeer, and then loses out to his teammate Matt Tempest as well. Harry Bowen, I think, is just a little bit too far back to get him. I say that, he looks to the outside at the old hairpin, but has to sit behind. But Rob Jackson losing 2 positions after being pressured into the mistake by Al Brown, who's now under pressure from Matt Tempest. I thought there was a bit of an overlap there, but Matt Tempest jumping around in that car. You saw the car pitch in and then understeer back out once again. You do get 2 fast repairs though, so even if anybody got a bit of damage in that previous incident, back up at the front, Craig Walters now under pressure from Rob Sutherland once again. And I think Rob is looking for the cutback, but he can't get the move just as yet. Andrew Lovesley nearly runs wide. And speaking of Andy Lovesley, it doesn't look like he's got any damage aboard that TCR. But if he does, you do get 2 fast repairs, so the 40-minute race, you get 2 options to dive into the pits, and your car will be factory fresh once again. We passed the halfway mark. Now we've got the first of the cars diving into the pits. That's Bram Class for SimTech Racing, and he is going to stop in a pit box by the look of it. We've got Bradley Hulse also diving into the pits for the first of his pit stops, whether this is just for fuel or for fuel and tyres. Anthony James Myatt making the most of that, operating himself up into P11, almost up into the top 10, trying to pick up another position there from Pete Brian, who we've seen Pete very high up the order, and he's just dropped and dropped and dropped. So now hanging on for a position in the top 10 so far. Whether he can keep this, I'm not 100% sure, but this might come down to strategy as well. Chris Young still hasn't managed to shake off the attentions of Dan Mould as yet. 3 tenths between them, pardon me, going into the chicane. But I think at this point in the race, if Dan is quite happy just to sit behind Chris, he will be able to continue on, save a bit of fuel possibly, maybe save his tyres. Well, I say that, he looks for the cutback, almost an overlap between the pair of them now on the run up to the final corner. Let's see what Dan does. Does he have a look to the inside? No, he stays in the draft on the brakes and continues on nonetheless. Let's have a look back at Dennis Rust. Oh, we can't have a look back at Dennis Rust. Sadly, I think we've seen the last of Dennis this evening, and Bradley Hulse as well. Do we have pictures of David Smith? So David Smith is the last of our runners. So sadly, we have lost Dennis Rust and Bradley Hulse. I think we just saw Bradley dive into the pits, so maybe that was just Bradley coming into the pits and sadly entering retirement. We've got more cars in the pits. This is Carl Lukeman and Rob Sutherland in the pit lane now, leaving Craig Walters to continue on, and Andy Lovesey as well. Who else? We just had Anthony James Myatt dive into the pits as well, so the pit lane is a flood with TCRs. And I want to keep an eye on Rob Sutherland because he pitted from P5 in between Andrew Lovesey and Craig Walters. So once all is said and done, once the number 69 and the number 25 car have dived into the pits as well, we'll see who has gained the most out of the pit window. Let's have a look at a driver we haven't had a look at today. This is Radoslav, the number 23 Hungarian driver. Way down in P18 at the moment, but he's looking to pick up a position from Carl Lukeman. And if he has been into the pits and if he has taken tyres, Carl has been into the pits. He was in the pits on the lap prior, but if he has taken tyres, it will take a while for them to get up to temperature. But it looks like he's got it all under control. He's already starting to build that gap. So cars that have already pitted, who do we have? We've got Rob Sutherland, Bram Klaas, Carl Lukeman. Anthony James Myatt has already been in the pits. Scott Tuffy with a fresh car now, once again after that incident. He will have taken one of his iRacing fast repairs. Jermaine Warren has dived into the pits as well, left in a world of his own at the moment. And then everybody thereafter, so Louis Correa, Ben Hicks, Kalle Cavisto and David Smith all have dived into the pits. Louis Correa once again with a fresh car, and so his teammate has done the same as well, Ben Hicks, all caught up in the same incident, but I don't think it will have affected their race to massive amounts. And we've got more cars in the pits, and this is now Derek Crowther. Niles Manshandan has dived into the pits as well as Harry Bowen. Everybody goes screaming by. Chris Young still not managed to shake off the attentions of Dan Mould just as yet. Behind this battle, though, we've got more nose-to-tail battling. This is Pete Brian and Al Brown battling for what is P7 overall. So, oh, sorry, yes, this is P7. No, this is Al Brown under pressure from Matt Tempest. What is P8 overall? So Matt Tempest working his way back up to the order. He has got the jump on his teammate, because I know Rob Jackson was in front of Matt Tempest a few minutes ago. But Matt charging his way up through the order. We had an incident for David Smith. Let's see what's happened here. We'll go back to him. He's got a bit of damage on the front left of that Audi. Over-rotates the car into the chicane. Doesn't collect anything, doesn't hit the wall. Just has to get the car spun around, grabs a gear and continues on. Just comes out in front of a battle that goes screaming by. I think that will be this battle here between Niall Stevenson, pardon me. Neil, there we go, Neil Stevenson, no, let me try this again. Neil Stevenson, there we go, finally got it right then. Neil Stevenson, oh, contact between the pair of them, rotates his car through 90 degrees, puts his foot to the floor. I'm not sure what happened there, we'll have to have a look back. We'll go on the nose cam of P. That's very late on the brakes, dives up, understeers into the side of P, so of Neil, pardon me. So Neil deciding he's lost that time, he may as well dive into the pits, take a fast repair, take the fuel and tyres if required, and continues on. Al Brown is also in the pits, same with Anthony James. No, everybody's screaming by the pits, can't keep up with it. Then Jason Guara and Rob Jackson as well up on the jack. So taking tyres for Rob, the number 85. Who was the car I was going to look at a little earlier on? From class right down in P9 at the moment, but I think there are a couple of cars in front of him that have still got to pit. They are indeed. So Pete Brian and Matt Tempest still yet to pit. The leaders are still yet to pit as well. So Dan Mould and Andrew Lovesey, but we have already seen our original leader. So he is in third on the track, but is in theory in the lead. So Callum Reid has already been into the pit lane, as well as Chris Young, who's really closed up on Callum in the pit stops. Dan Mould has dived into the pits this time, and yep, Andrew Lovesey follows his teammate into the pit lane as well. So we'll go back to Callum. So he comes around the final corner now. So he will tick lap number 17 in the book. Dan Mould, is he on pit exit? Because here comes Chris Young, and I think Chris might just get the overlap here. There's Dan Mould, and yes, Chris Young promoting himself up into P2 on strategy there. So Chris getting the undercut on Dan Mould. Matt Tempest leaves the pits. No, Matt Tempest is still yet to pit, pardon me, in P4. I'm not sure how he's managing this because he hasn't got long left on this tank of fuel, presumably. He will have to pit very shortly. I think he's the last car to pit all the way up and down the order. Yeah, so he's gained 19 positions where he stands at the moment. But like I said, still yet to pit. And I don't think these two are going to leave each other alone for the entire season, let alone the race. Chris Young and Dan Mould have been glued together since the start of the race. And they're still nose to tail even after the pit stops. And these are the closest cars on circuit so far. What I will do is I will take this time out while we've got a little break to thank the sponsors of SRL. So we've got Data Shred and Pinjin, as well as Loki Film. So a massive thank you to those guys for sponsoring Simulation Racing Leagues. And you join me, Jack Werrell, in the commentary box here on whether it be YouTube or Twitch for round one of the Simulation Racing Leagues TCR series here at Donington Park. Look at this now, side by side for P2. Chris Young defends the inside line and therefore keeps the position, but Dan Mould showing his intention, showing that he wants to get past and get back up into P2, back to where he started. Hard on the brakes into turn one, and these two are only slowing each other down now. Chris Young, the last lap for him was a 1:39. So off the pace, but Dan Mould now looking to the outside and then back to the inside through Craner curves, and he won't get the move done there. Confidence of Dan, right, head and shoulders above the rest. Clearly he's willing to put his car in quite an odd place on the circuit just to get this position. I think he's got the run up the hill, carrying the momentum up towards the right-hander. Oh, sideways in. I think that's probably one of the best ways to drive these TCRs. We'll have a look as they head up to Coppice, turn in on the brakes almost to get the rear rotated, and then pitch the nose in. And look at that, Dan Mould clips the apex way better, and I think that will have given him the run back down the straight. So we saw Chris Young dive up the inside of Dan Mould into the chicane initially, and Chris is wise to this move. He defends the inside, but I think if Dan can be later on the brakes, no, Dan Mould has to tuck back in behind Chris Young. We've got another battle a little further back. This is Scott Tuffy looking to work his way past Derek Crowther. A very, very bright livery aboard that number 27 machine. But the leaders are closer than ever. We're going to have a look at this. This is Chris Young defending the inside once again into the final corner. Dan Mould is in front going into the corner. Can he get the cut back? He will be aware of it, but Chris Young does a brilliant job parking it on the apex, making sure Dan Mould can't carry the momentum. But back up towards turn one. I think Chris has just got to glue his car to the inside of the circuit, cutting across the nose of Dan, but that has opened up the inside. So if Dan can be late enough on the brakes, he's got his car alongside, grabs the apex, bouncing over the curbs. If he can keep the momentum, I think Dan Mould might just get away with this one, but I think Chris carried the momentum around the outside, and once again, it's Chris Young still defending from Dan Mould. Al Brown now is looking to pick up a position while also defend his position. So Carl Lukeman his SRL teammate leading this battle in P14. Al Brown P15 and Harry Bowen for Fast Cars Go Bang looking to pick up the positions from the both of them. Well, all nose to tail. The leaders still not leaving each other alone. We'll have a look back at those in a short while. Actually, no, we won't. We're going to have a look now because this is Chris Young once again defending the inside up towards the final chicane. And it's still Chris Young leading Dan Mould. But while this is going on, this is our current leader, Callum Reid. Now 8.7 seconds up the road from the pairing. And it's been a dominating drive from the CRG Motorsport man behind the wheel of that Audi TCR. 10 minutes of the race still to go. Ticks lap number 20 in the book, and continues on towards the final 10 minutes of the race. Chris Young still defending, although he has built up a 3/10 buffer to Dan Mould, which doesn't sound like much, but that's the furthest they've been for the entire race. Back to Scott Tuffy though, who is now looking to the inside of Derek Crowther, late on the brakes, sideways in. You see the car moving around on the brakes. He gets it slowed down and builds the gap. A great move from Scott Tuffy to pick off Derek Crowther, promoting himself up into P11. Harry Bowen still looking to work his way past Al Brown. I'm not sure what has happened. Oh, there's Derek Crowther. He's miles up the road, but Matt Tempest is there for Simtech Racing. And yeah, this has gone from a 3-car battle back down to a 2-car battle for P14. So Al Brown leading Harry Bowen at the moment, and that gap is only getting bigger. So I fear that battle will disappear very promptly. Dan Mould still hot on the heels of Chris Young. Andrew Lovesey looking to pick off his SRL teammate of Craig Walters. So at the moment there are 1, 2, 3, 4 SRL cars in the top 10. So a good drive throughout the evening. Look at this, Andy Lovesey diving to the inside, looking to see whether he can be a little bit later on the brakes than his SRL counterpart. But I think that cost him more time than he gained there, because look at that gap now is massively opened up all the way to the tune of about 1.2 seconds. So Andrew Lovesey, through the aggression, has lost even more time. The leaders have started to separate once again, 0.3 of a second. It seems like Chris Young is fast at all the corners where he needs to be. He's fast on the corners or he's fast coming out of the slower corners, and he gets the run going onto the straight. So another incident for David Smith. Let's see what happens this time. This is going into the chicane once again. Does he ever rotate the car? He does indeed. I think he might need to move that brake bias a little bit more forward. Pretty much a carbon copy of the previous incident. Goes bumbling over the grass, grabs a gear and continues on. But sadly, that has demoted him right the way down the order into P26. So not a great race from David Smith, but he is continuing on nonetheless and keeping the car on the road for the most part. So a good job from David. Back up towards the pointy end of the order though. This is Niels Manchanden under pressure from Anthony James Myatt. Another SRL car with the purple flashes, so the purple wing mirror, the rear wing end plate and his name on the sun strip at the top of the windscreen. We've had a change of position a little further back. This is Harry Bowen getting elbowed out at turn 1 from Neil Stevenson. So the number 16 Simtech racing car picking up a position. Let's have another look back at that overtake. So in towards turn 1, Harry Bowen's coming out of the pits, and both cars go for the same piece of tarmac. Harry Bowen sadly has the leads out there, but Harry not willing to let that position go. He might have just come out of the pits, maybe on a heavier car. He might have had a drive-through penalty or a stop-go penalty, because if you do get 15 incident points, you do get a stop-go. So you'll have to drive into the pit lane, stop in your pit box for a fraction of a second, and then leave the pit lane once again. So it enforces drivers to keep clean, and this is something they'll want to do, as if you complete, I think, if I get the tab up correctly, I'm clicking on all the wrong things here. If you complete 50% of the races throughout the season, you will then become eligible for this if you are the driver with the lowest incident points. You will get, I think it's a 25 iRacing credit reward. And speaking about the prize part, if you finish first in this championship, you will get £30 or iRacing credit equivalent, and the same with if you finish second, you get £20 or iRacing credit equivalent, and third, you will get £10 or the equivalent iRacing credits. And so it gives the drivers a motivation to do well, and we're definitely seeing that at the first round. Callum Reid 8.6 seconds up the road from Dan Mould all of a sudden, who is now in front of Chris Young. Let's have another look back to see what happened. Into the hairpin, late on the brakes. I don't think Chris can do much about defending that one. Does he look for the cutback? Nope. Dan gets the car pitched up the hill, up on the run up to the final corner, and then defends the position appropriately. And there we go, up to P2, and he's built that gap nicely, 1.5 seconds back to Chris Young now. So Chris has done all the defending he can, and it just shows that Dan Mould, he's got his head, and he's got his head down, and he's got the bit between his teeth, and is slowly disappearing into the distance once again. And it's definitely showing because he set a quicker lap time than Callum Reid on the lap prior. So that lead gap is coming down, but with only 3 minutes of the race still to go, if Dan can lap, 3-4 seconds a lap quicker, then he might be in with a chance of getting the win. But I think all is said and done for the moment. So that's Steve Jones there, getting out of the way very nicely for Dan Mould. Ben Hicks for Fast Cars Go Bang just behind. So although these are the last few runners, P24 and 25, it still shows that you can have a nice little battle between you. David Smith still continuing on. Great to see that, although he is the last runner at the moment, as we've had another retirement of Carl Lukeman. David Smith, he's picking up positions here by doing a whole load of nothing. He's continuing on, driving his own race. Nice to see he's continued on, and yeah, he's picked up 3 free positions so far. Neil Stevenson still defending from Harry Bowen. We saw Harry come out of the pits and Neil dive up the inside, but Harry very much wanting to get that position back. Craig Walters now under pressure from his SRL teammate, bouncing over the curbs, clattering the bollards. But Andrew Lovesey losing more time in the chicane. We saw him drive quite aggressively into the chicane, looking to pick up the position. I think at this point, with the race into its final closing stages, Andrew can get away with driving that extra little bit aggressively just to see whether he can pick up the position. That will be promoting himself up into the top 5. We've got Chris Young diving into the pit lane, so I think Chris might have under-fueled there. So he might have lost out on a podium, as I think we will be going on to the final lap either this time by or the next time by. We'll keep an eye on though. But Rob Sutherland promoted himself up into P3, a very last minute change, so he's back up to where he started. The top 4 are still in all the positions where they qualified. A minute of the race still to go. Callum Reid, I think if he gets round, he will get another lap out of this race. 8 seconds is the margin back to Dan Mould now. So Dan, although he's taking time away, it won't be enough to get the position made for the lead. And yes, we will see another lap for the number 4 CRG Motorsport machine and everyone else thereafter. But Dan Mould really done well here. He got the position made, and all that defending, I think, has caught Chris Young out because he's lost even more time to Rob Sutherland. So I think Rob, all he has to do is get the car to the line. Let's have a look back now with 10 seconds of the race going. 10 seconds of the race still to go. Yep, Callum Reid crosses the line now to go on to the final lap of the race. Andrew Lovesey still not wanting to give up the position to, or still not wanting to let his teammate have the position there. Craig Walters defending as hard as he can to stay in the top 5. The number 69 SRL machine with the orange flashes defending hard from Andy Lovesey. We've got more battles further back. That's Harry Bowen getting past Neil Stevenson by the looks of it, but Jermaine Warren has become part of this as well. So Jermaine Warren in P15 defending the position, the American defending from the 2 Brits. And even though we are past the 40-minute deadline on the final lap of the race, drivers still battling nose to tail. Everybody here in shot will still have another lap to go, I think, if I've worked that out correctly. But Neil Stevenson, Neil Stevenson, he lost one position there, and I think he's just going to start losing time, and he might just have to give up the positions and focus on crossing the line. We'll go back up to the front there. Rob Sutherland not managed to shake off Chris Young, very much on the coattails. Chris Young wanting to get that final podium position, but ladies and gentlemen, this man here, he's dominated the race from start to finish. Callum Reid, he got pole position by 0.2 of a second. The number 4 CRG Motorsport machine comes around the final corner for the final time, and Callum Reid in the number 4 CRG Motorsport machine wins the first round of the Simulation Racing Leagues TCR League, and he did a dominating job. Brilliant work from Callum. Dan Mould crosses the line now to finish P2, a hard-fought P2 as well, so a massive well done to Dan. Here comes Chris Young, who is now in front of Rob Sutherland. We'll have a look back to see how that position changed, but Chris, after battling all race long with Dan Mould, has to settle for P3 after a slight mix-up on strategy. Rob Sutherland finishes P4. Craig Walters managed to fend off his teammate of Andrew Lovesey for P5. There's Andy Lovesey finishing P6. Bram Class finishes P7. Niels Manshanden finishes P8. Anthony James Myatt crosses the line now to finish P9. And Pete Brian crosses the line now to round out your top 10. We'll have some more confirmed results for you in a moment. I don't think this position has been settled though, because Harry Bowen now still wanting to get into the top 15, looking to work his way past Jermaine Warren. He will be shown the outside of the circuit. Can he cut across to the inside? He does indeed. Late on the brakes into the hairpin. That's very aggressive. There's contact between the pair of them. Does Harry Bowen decide to let the position go? Does he wait up? No, Harry Bowen decides to take out Jermaine Warren for P15. That means Neil Stevenson will finish P16. Kalle Kavisto will get promoted up into P17. And Jermaine Warren, after all of that hard work defending, a massive hit in the rear end on the final corner, and sadly has to cross the line P18. But what a race, what an opening race to the season that was. Lots and lots of action. You still hear the Audis echoing around the Donington Park GP circuit. And if this is round one, what have we got in store for us as the season wears on? Because the drivers will only get more and more comfortable with the cars, more and more comfortable with each other, and maybe learn a few tricks of the trade, a few little bits that make the car go that little bit quicker. I'm just making a few notes on how people finished, so I've got it down for you. We will have some results very shortly. I think we can get them up now. So if we grab a camera angle, there we go. And if we do this properly, get some music on in the background. And ladies and gentlemen, the results will be coming up on your screen now, I hope. There we go. So Callum Reid, what a drive. So Callum Reid Garton for, well, I'm presuming is Callum Reid Garton Motorsport, finishes P1, almost 9 seconds ahead of Dan Mould for Simulation Racing Leagues, battling tooth and nail with Chris Young. But Chris slightly messed up on strategy behind the wheel of his Simtech car. It's nice to see 3 different teams on the podium, but Chris Young has to settle for P3. A hard-fought P3 nonetheless, as he nearly got caught out by Rob Sutherland going into the closing stage of the race. But Rob Sutherland P4, Craig Walters finishes P5 after fending off Andrew Lovesey in P6. Bram Class finishes in P7, Niels Manshanden in P8, Anthony James Myatt in P9, and Pete Bryan rounds out your top 10. Scott Tuffy finishes 11th, Derek Crowther in 12th, Matt Tempest finishes P13, Al Brown P14, Harry Bowen manages to get P15 in the end, albeit after a very heavy piece of contact with Jermaine Warren. Neil Stevenson finishes in P16, Kalle Kavisto in 17th, and Jermaine Warren after that heavy contact and the spin at the final corner finishes P18. We'll go back now to grab the final few results. Jason Guara finishes P19. just behind his fellow American. Radoslav Zaharev finishes in P20. Rob Jackson finishes in 21st. Chris Allen, 22nd. Louis Greyer in P23. Ben Hicks, I think, yeah, there we go. Ben Hicks finishes P24. And Steve Jones, the last of our runners, I believe, finishes P25. No, pardon me, David Smith was the last of our runners, finishing P26 in the end. Carl Lukeman retired a few laps from the end from P27. Bradley Hulse finishes P28, and Dennis Rust retiring very, very early on. I think he might have retired on the first lap. So he finishes in P29, but wow, what a race that was, and it's great to see that all the drivers can battle so closely already at this early point in this season. What we will do is, I'm hoping we will be able to grab an interview from a few people. Let's see whether we have anybody in the interview waiting room. We have indeed. So what I'll do is I'll shut the music up. Oh, and we've brought him in mid-conversation, as per usual for me. But Dan Mould, welcome to the commentary box.
Hi, mate.
That was a busy old race. We saw you battling with Chris Young, and I think you might have just messed up on strategy towards the end. But at that midpoint in the race where you were battling nose to tail, what were you expecting out of that battle? Were you confident that you were gonna get the position back, or were you thinking, oh damn, I might have to settle for P3 here?
I forgot to load crew chief up. So if you ever listen to my stream back, you'll hear me shouting the wife in to try and get it set up for me, and she failed. Hence why I dropped off so much behind Cal, and then I managed to just I couldn't get it back up, so I managed to stay behind Chris, get my composure back, and then I think Chris's tyres died quite a lot towards the end, and I managed to make that move on him on the hairpin.
Yeah, we saw that Chris got the position made going into the chicane initially, and then he defended that position, or he defended that same part of the circuit every single lap after. I think he was quite wise to the move. But you finished P2 overall, and this is obviously a great opening to the season for you. But Callum Reid just slowly started disappearing into the distance, and eventually finished 9 seconds ahead of everybody else. What has he got that everybody else hasn't? Because it was dominating driving qualifying, and then he's just gone and done that in the race. What's it going to take to stop him?
I've known Cal for a few years, and I've always known he's always been a quick racer. He's just got what you need. He's got it. He's got it. I've seen him do many laps on Assetto Corsa, and he's just rapid. So he's definitely one to watch, and he is one to catch, and he's set a good benchmark straight away.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on him throughout the season. But these TCRs, it's quite a fine art to drive one of these, because you don't want to have too much understeer, but then you don't want to have too much oversteer, but then you want to get the nose pitched in and almost over-rotate the rear into the corner. What was it like spending 40 minutes behind the wheel of these cars battling nose to tail? What were the sort of sensations that you had to almost put up with in these Audis?
You've got to, when you're chasing someone, as I was on someone's bumper, you've got to brake a lot earlier than you would normally, because especially on the chicane, you can't see the turning points. I think there was one occasion where I actually cut the chicane by turning too early. So you just got to be very wise to it. And then I don't know, it's just, I mean, you can lose a bit of time behind someone and gain it quite easily with the slip. But it's just about having good racecraft and respecting the guy in front of you, but at the same time trying to also be a little bit aggressive to try and put him off. But when there's a couple of guys on the same pace at this track, it is very hard to pass, very hard.
Well, we saw lots of quick and very clean racing as well. And going into the rest of the season, we've got lots to look forward to. But while we've got you in the commentary box, and before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Just thanks to everyone who's taken part, anyone who's watching, and a big thanks to you for all the work you've done. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate everyone being involved in this. Seems to be a very exciting SRL league. So thank you to everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time at some point.
Thanks, Jack.
That was Dan Mould there, our P2 finisher, and like he said, very challenging cars to drive, but he did make the most of it and eventually finish P2. What we'll do is let's see whether we bring him in
Yeah,
mid-conversation.
I was
Of course we do. I'm not sure whether he knows he's been dragged into the
Oh,
commentary box. But Chris Young, we saw you battling throughout the race with Dan Mould, but sadly towards the end of the race something happened which caused you to dive into the pits late on. What happened, mate?
Well, the back marker got a bit squirmish under braking into the S's. Caused me to sort of brake a bit too sharp and just sort of cut the corner to avoid any contact. And then, in respect to that, give me a draw-through penalty.
Well, sadly we didn't catch that at the time. But yeah, very unlucky. We did mention that the 15 incident points would be tight for TCR drivers out today. But one thing that I think was the standout for the race is you went into the pit lane behind Dan, but when Dan came back out of the pit lane, you're in P2. So is that something you were confident within your ability to do? Just come out of the pit lane, put in those quick, clean, consistent laps, and get the jump on him?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I mean, we've done a few practice events and it's been a bit close between me and Dan anyway. So I knew it was going to be a good battle today. And it's all about just getting on the brakes as late as possible, on the accelerator as fast as possible. I know it was only a second if that in it, and I managed to obviously just gain that just to get the jump.
Well, you did a great job. Go on.
Which obviously got me the position, but yeah, ended up losing it. Dan's good at managing tyres, and I'm not.
He did mention that he thinks your tyres started to wear away towards the end of the race, but Summit Point, that's round 2. Obviously, we were here at Donington Park for round 1 today, but focusing on round 2, what are your expectations for Summit Point? Because it's a very unique circuit in the way that it's got quite large runoff areas at some points, but then very little at other points, and it's quite an unforgiving circuit as well with the undulation. And these cars aren't exactly the easiest to drive, so what are your expectations going into round 2?
I think I've just got to aim for another podium. Aim for a podium, try and battle, but not battle too hard and lose too much time like we did today. Like you say, it's a tight circuit. It's going to be hard to overtake. Possibly into turn 1 and into the last corner. Other than that, it's going to be a sit and wait sort of game. But manage my tyres as well, and hopefully I can have a little edge at the end, like Dan had on me.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that all unfold in a few weeks' time. But before we do let you leave the commentary box, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Just thanks for the team for getting me involved in all racing. I've only been doing it for 2 months now, and yeah, just that's it. I think, yeah.
Well done once again tonight, and we will see you in a few weeks' time at Summit Point.
Cheers, thank you.
That was Chris Young there, eventual P3 finisher, looking for a P2 throughout the entire race, but sadly, like he mentioned, getting that stop-go penalty after avoiding an incident. So by all means, it was the right thing to do. Avoiding an incident with a back marker sadly caused himself to lose out, but nonetheless still finished on the podium, and he's only been racing for 2 months. I struggle to believe that, but if he has, massive well done to the guy, because he's definitely got the pace to be battling up there for those podium positions. But one last person to bring in. Do we bring him in mid-conversation? I don't think we do. We finally brought somebody in who isn't already having a conversation. Eventual winner this evening, and one of the most dominating drives I've ever seen in a TCR. Callum Reid, what a drive this evening. Finished P1. Great job in qualifying. There's nothing really else to say.
Yeah, it was a good race, man. Like I smashed it in quali. Did I get the triple? Did I get fastest lap 2? I'm not sure.
I think Dan Mould might have stolen that off you.
Gutted. But yeah, no, it was a great race. I seen them two scrapping away, and obviously me and Dan had a big scrap like for the first 3 laps. That was quite fun. And then I managed to pull away a little bit, and obviously just take off and get into my rhythm, head down, get gone. But yeah, it was a really, really good race.
We did allude to that throughout the race, the fact that gap was just growing and growing and growing, and you were just disappearing into the distance purely because obviously Dan Mould had his hands full with Chris Young, and you had something else out there today. You just hit the track, forgot about your mirrors, and worked your way through. We saw a bit of traffic throughout the race. We know that Chris had to give up his P2 or a possible P2 finish as he avoided an incident with a back marker. Did you have many many sort of close comings together with back markers, or did they seem to be quite respectful, get out of the way, and then you could just get on with your race?
Yeah, I was speaking to Chris Joss, and he mentioned that, and like, I didn't really have an issue. I think I only lapped like 3 cars because obviously, as I was coming up on the back markers, it was time to pit and obviously take on fuel. But by the time I went back out again, I think I passed 2 people, and I really didn't have an issue at all. Obviously, you give him a quick flash on the go past light, but yeah, I didn't really have an issue. But it's a shame. It's a shame for Chris, really. And them two had like a major scrap for P2, and it was. I bet it was. I bet it's really good to watch back. So I'll be looking at that later.
Well, I hope everybody put on a good show for you. Leaving round 1 with maximum points, 25 points you head to Summit Point with. So it's a nice little buffer, albeit where I think we'll have to confirm with the actual results. At the moment, the provisional results is Dan Mould has got the fastest lap. I will have to check that for you. So you've only got a 3-point margin. And like you say, it was mainly helped by Dan battling Chris. If going into Summit Point, Dan hasn't got a Chris Young on his tail, do you think you two could be battling for the win?
Potentially, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not massively keen around Summit Point. It's not one of my favourite tracks, but I'll definitely give it my all in 2 weeks' time.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that, and thank you very much for joining us in the commentary box. But before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out while you're on the stream?
Yeah, obviously you, Jack, commentating for us, and also Dan Molfer and all the SRL group. Building this thing up, getting it all together. It's been really good, and it's been really fun a part of so far. So it's only going to get better in the future as well. So big up SRL.
Well, thank you very much for your kind words, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time at Summit Point for round 2.
Nice one. Take care. Bye bye.
That was Callum Reid, their eventual P1 finisher, dominating drive, and like he said, he's not massively fond of Summit Point, but he's well and truly ready for a battle if required. So we've got all that to look forward to, but sadly it's that point in the night we do have to say goodbye. And well, the issues that we had this evening, they will be fixed for round 2. I will join as a spectator and not a driver, so we will be able to catch bits of qualifying. I hope I covered it to the best of my ability. Craig Walters saying epic. It very well and truly was, mate. Massive well done on your P5, managing to fend off Andy. But yeah, sadly it is that point in the night, so we will have to say goodbye. So thank you very, very much for joining us, or joining me in the commentary box this evening for round 1 of the SRL Friday Night TCR League, and this is the first of many. Still got 10 rounds to go. Round 2 is at Summit Point in a few weeks' time, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, make sure you take care of yourselves, have an amazing evening, and we'll see you very, very soon.